What's up, everybody? This is the Pollard to Pollard podcast. I am your host, Bernard Pollard, and my co-host is my nephew, Alex Pollard. Now, before we do anything, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pollard to Pollard Podcast, our Twitter at Pollard_podcast, IG at Pollard to Pollard _podcast. Alex, what is up?
Not much, just hanging out. You guys just left. We had a few beach days, so I'm starting to get back into working again.
Dude, that was coming to Florida was a lot of fun. Now, my first time coming to Florida and having to go through red tide. Now, for everybody, I've never heard of red tide, didn't know what to expect, but we got there and was on the beach. I was coughing, I was sneezing. It was crazy. Now, what is red tide?
I think it's like some bacteria or something in the water, and I mean sometimes that'll be bad, and you'll feel that in the back of your throat and stuff, and that's when you cough and stuff. But then when we were in St. Pete the other night and just all those dead fish, because the bacteria just kills anything that swims in the water when there's enough of it.
Wow.
So then you just get the dead fish smell everywhere. That's even worse. I'd rather drive down the beach and have to just cough a bunch than smell dead fish everywhere I go.
Oh, So look, the red tide didn't stop us. We had a great time. We went fishing. We had a great time fishing. We caught 49, 50 fish?
Yep.
I caught 70% of the 49, 50 fish.
So not true. You didn't take one fish off the hook.
Bro, time out.
Not one.
Okay, I told you, I told y'all, I don't touch dead animals. I don't hunt. I don't do any of that stuff, right?
It's a good thing they were still alive.
Yes, but they were flipping and doing all that stuff. Bro, I'm not touching that. So our guide, Randy, it was Randy and Michael. Shout out to you guys. It was awesome. Beautiful boat. We caught all kind of fish. Randy took all of my fish off of the hook. Randy did drop one of my fish. Now you remember that.
Would have been 50.
Yes, Randy dropped one of my fish. I was pissed at him. He dropped it. It had to be like a 8-pounder. Beautiful big fish. It was somewhere around that size.
2.5, 3.
Settle. Stop it.
Something
It was a
that.
big fish. Randy dropped it, but nevertheless, I did catch about 8 fish. Now, my nephew Vince, he caught more. I think Vince caught the most. And
He probably caught the most, but not only half of them were keepers.
Oh my gosh.
The first half of the trip, he was catching a bunch of grouper that were too small.
That
All
is
those
true.
fish
That
he had
is
to throw
true.
back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I do. I remember that. I do remember that. I caught more quality fish. I would say I probably caught more quality fish. So I'm just saying, everything we do, we turn
Whatever
into a
you
competition.
say.
So we were competing on the boat. We got to the beach. We played cornhole. Now I got to tell y'all, he won when we played team cornhole. Right? I had another partner. He had a partner.
You got smashed. I scored 15 of our 21 points.
Time out, y'all. Now, for everybody that's played cornhole before, you know and understand a cornhole board is not supposed to be a trampoline. His cornhole boards, Florida State boards, are literally trampolines. My board, I have a beautiful throw. As you guys follow us on IG and saw it on Twitter, my form is pretty. I got enough air. My bag is flat. I'm hitting the board and I want to slide up. Every time I hit his board, literally bounced and went all the way in the back.
Okay.
It was so annoying.
We have the exact same throw.
Okay, so what happened to the 1v1?
I lost the 1v1.
Okay, all right. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for that.
You lost the team one. You got smacked in the team one.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
You scored 1 point for the team.
Oh my gosh, he's definitely lying there. But
I'm not.
He admitted he lost the 1v1. Now, as we move,
won everything else we did.
Okay, look, guys. I told you everything is a competition. We played bocce ball.
Bocce ball.
Bocce
yes.
ball. I never heard
Game
of
where
bocce ball.
you toss a big ball next to a smaller ball. That's it. That's the name of the game.
I've never played it. I've never heard of it in my life. I lost. What was it? 3-1. The series it was 3-1.
Yeah.
I lost. You know, it's a new game for me. I love learning new things. Right. I had to get used to the weight of the ball. I had to get used to. I didn't know. The ball, the white ball that you throw out. I guess that's the marker where you throw. I didn't know all of that. He just said, let's play bocce ball. So we start playing bocce ball.
I explained the rules before we played.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Right. Look, all I'm saying is for how much you claim to be such a great all-around athlete,
I am.
It's a game where you toss a weighted ball. That ball is at most 6 pounds, definitely less.
Oh, my gosh.
And you're tossing it, what was the farthest we went? 20 yards?
I don't remember. I just remember me dominating you in one game. I lost the other 3 games off of – it was close games, but, I lost. I give you that. I lost. But I am still the better all-around athlete. I told him at 36, I will stump a mud hole in him. At 36, I'll dunk on him.
I watched you play volleyball.
And you saw what I was capable of doing.
You can't move in the sand.
All right, whatever, dude. So Alex plays beach volleyball. So he's what are you, 6'3"?
6'6". You were close.
My bad. He's 6'6", plays beach volleyball. So he tries to make it happen. So look, we had to tell you all about our vacation. I'm once again, I'm glad you're still tuning in with us. Don't block us out because we are going to talk a little NASCAR. We're going to talk some NFL. But as we get to talking NASCAR, that's our first topic. Now, I was excited because I got a chance to watch the race with my nephew. I watched it with Alex. We rushed home from the beach. We actually had an Uber. And my wife had me cancel the Uber because it started to thunderstorm. And so everybody ended up packing the tent up and everything else. We ended up rushing home. We showered up and watched the race. The Atlanta Motor Speedway. Watched the race. This was an awesome race. Now, this was a track that I was having trouble with before we left to go to Florida. I was having trouble with this track at iRacing on iRacing. And I couldn't find my groove, couldn't find my spot to turn and everything else. So it's always fun to me to be able to get a chance to watch how these drivers attack it. Now, I understand I'm in the simulator. I'm not in a real car. They're in a real car, and they've been doing it for a very long time. Now, I'm hard on myself. Al's always saying, Bernard, stop being hard on yourself. Now, Al is my spotter. Al is my dog. He's my boy. Jen is his wife. But they're always on me, right? So getting a chance to watch this race with my nephew, it was a lot of fun. Watching this race, I mean, it was just being able to, I think Alex and I talked about it, but watching Kurt Busch win this race was so much fun to me because I actually got an opportunity last year when they raced in Las Vegas. That's where him and his brother Kyle Busch are from, and he won the race. And you actually saw his restart, and knowing that's the exciting part for me. When you get a chance to understand the backgrounds from these drivers, how they can drag race, they do, I believe it's midget racing or things like that, or racing.
I have no idea what that is.
Something like it's in a smaller car. So they get a chance to race so many different cars and do so many different things, so many different styles of racing that they use it all in a cup car. And on a restart, once again, as I watched last year him race in Las Vegas, and then I get a chance to watch him again this year, this dude, when he's out in front, his restarts, you see his drag racing skill set come out. And I mean, that was a lot of fun. Like, what was it, you watching this race, Alex, what was it like? And you've watched, a couple races in your lifetime, but we watched this race together. What was it like for you watching this and watching these brothers compete and just watching all the other athletes compete? And you hear athletes watching all the other drivers compete.
So I saw you slip down in there.
Yeah, watching these guys compete. What was that like?
It was pretty cool. I mean, up until that restart, I kind of thought Kyle was going to run away with it too. And especially since, we had been talking about how you always hear like he's the best driver on the track. And I mean, it looked like he had a solid enough lead to where he's going to be able to hold it. But that restart, that was crazy. And then watching, so we talked about this, Kurt and Ross Chastain, their teammates. And just watching that replay of Chastain, like pretty much just cutting off Kyle so that Kurt could catch back up. That was pretty cool.
And that was something that you actually hit on.
That's not cheating. That's not cheating.
Yeah, that was something you hit on. What was it, last week? I think last week's episode.
I think it was last week. Yeah,
and then to see it happen, that was actually, we laughed about that. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was perfect timing. That fits right in. Yeah, and I mean that's what I was talking about. Like, I mean, their teammates. That's just strategy right there. He's literally just slowing the other guy down to give his teammate a chance to catch up, right. And it helped them win. That was pretty cool to see. I think we talked about this a little bit. That track looks terrible. That might help Kurt a little bit, get into a caution. There's no way the track was helping people out. Yeah. It looks like one of the major roads down here with all that tar on there. It was terrible.
That's pretty funny because when we saw the caution come out and we watched the guys go in and kind of I'm gonna say repave, but to try to fix it a little bit. That I think I was seeing on Twitter, a lot of people were complaining about them having wanting to rip up the track and do some different things with the track. A lot of people complain about that, but for me, I'm looking like, dude, they're potholes. Literally, if those guys hit that, obviously, I would think big. A big accident could happen. And that's the safety of the drivers and everything else. So yes, I am 100% in agreement. Like, if they can fix it, let them rip it up, fix it, because that was crazy. I don't think every race
was ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly. You shouldn't have to go in and kind of repave, potholes in a race, slowing down a race. But that was a lot of fun, and I mean, just getting a chance to see, two brothers compete. Like, I mean, just to hear these guys over the headset. I mean, and hear him shake and bake, and you see the slingshot and everything else.
Oh yeah, and he knew when he had that restart.
Exactly. Like that was so fun. And as you guys know, and I've said this, and Alex, this is the part for me where I never ever witnessed. I didn't understand it. I didn't know it was possible to have these different strategies in NASCAR. For this skill set for the driver to be able to use, and the just all the aerodynamics and everything else. Like, this is amazing. For these guys to know where to get on a car to be able to kind of shoot his way and take away guys' air and this and that, and giving it, having clean air and bad air, whatever it may be. This is the part for me where I'm so excited, and I stay excited because I get a chance to talk to people and tell all of my old teammates. I was talking to one of my old teammates, Michael Orr, and just kind of schooling him about it. Nate Washington, talking to him on Twitter, he's like, dude, like, what is it about this? Like, nothing's that fun. I'm looking like, bro, like, you've got to understand, like, the football world, and I continue to say this, the football world is all we know. So when you get a chance to see, okay, wait a minute, there's strategy, there's this, there's that, in racing, man, it just excites me. And I got to go back to this because we had a big conversation, had a big disagreement in the living room during the race, where goodness. A lot of my family members, they don't want to give NASCAR drivers the label athlete. They don't feel like NASCAR is a sport. And so, I'm not going to stay on this long, but I think, Alex, you agreed that they were athletes, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I believe you believe that this is a sport, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, for all of you, like, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up, comment in the comment section. Tell us what you think, because I mean, a lot of people responded. We got almost 26,000 views, 27,000 views on the video on Twitter.
That was blowing up.
Right. So I mean, people were commenting. So let us know. Do you think NASCAR is a sport? Do you think NASCAR drivers are athletes? I do.
Well, see, and on top of that, like, what we struggled with was coming up with your reasoning why.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear people's definitions of what a sport and what an athlete is. And you're not allowed to put yours in there because you really struggle with that. So you gotta rethink your whole definition process there. But we can. I want to see what other people say.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, it is like hard to especially a sport. I feel like it's super hard to really define what a sport is because there's so many sports that are completely different, whether they're team sport, individual sport,
Right.
just like literally any aspect of it is like so different. So I think that's like a good starting point. I want to see what other people think there too.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So, as we transition a bit, now I know you're going to love this. I know a lot of people are going to hate this. Don't stone us. We just talking, right? Like we're learning about the sport. We're learning about these drivers. There's been obviously we saw Kurt Busch win. We saw the battle between him and his brother. I thought that was so awesome. But there's been a shift in momentum. Would you agree to that, Alex?
Oh yeah, yep.
We talked about it. There's been a shift in momentum. Now, a lot of people has been on the Kyle Larson train, and I mean, rightfully so. This guy was dominating. He was completely dominating. But we watched his car go bad at, I think it was what race? Was it Pocono?
Yeah,
I think it was Pocono. So we watched his car go bad on Saturday at Pocono. He ended up finishing, ran a new car on that Sunday, but he hasn't been the same since.
Nope.
And as I said, a shift in momentum with these drivers. What do you think about that? We talked about it a little bit, but as you watch the shift in momentum, I got to go back to last year. I watched Kevin Harvick dominate from beginning almost to the end of the season, but Chase Elliott ended up coming. Him and Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin end up they were dominating every race. But we watched Chase Elliott win the championship. Now we got to I look at that, right? But I watched not a full season because the 2020 COVID year wasn't a full season. So I'm getting a chance to watch a full season, and the skill set for Kyle Larson is there. We all understand he finally has the car. He finally has a team backing him. So I mean, we all know the skill set of this driver. This dude is a beast. He's an animal. But to see the shift in momentum, what does that look like for you, Alex?
I think, and obviously I haven't watched the whole season, but sitting here thinking about it, I feel like for Kyle Larson, it was more when he was winning. I feel like it was more of his ability to kind of take advantage of other people's mistakes that were going on. Because these last couple races that I've watched, whether it was full or little bits of, or just heard what happened, to me, it's been more of whoever has had the better strategy and who has just been a more sound driver. And I say more sound driver because I still believe that he's over aggressive. Like I still think he was getting lucky pushing his car that hard. I still think that's what led to that blown tire. Because seeing like Kyle Busch finish high up these last couple races, Kurt Busch up there, he just won off that restart. In my opinion, like I think that restart is what won him that race. But regardless, Kyle Busch still up there, and we know that he's the best driver on the track. So I think as the season finishes and progresses into the playoffs, I don't think he's going to win because I think we're going to see a lot less mistakes. And with that last race is out in Arizona, so weather in terms of like rain delays and stuff like that shouldn't play a factor. Like it should be a relatively clean race, I would assume.
Okay.
And I think when you have like clean races like that with one or two restarts, that's good for Kurt Busch. A clean race all around would obviously be good for Kyle Busch if he's the best driver out there. I don't watch a lot, but I know Alex Bowman, he's been driving good. And we just talked about this the other day, actually. Who was it? It was Denny Hamlin, right?
Yeah.
Who's like second in points, or he was like first or second in points with 0 wins.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's doing something right.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, he can't finish out a race right now, but if he's first or second in points with no wins, he's killing it out there. So I think the leaderboard, when you look at it, is a little misleading just because all of his points just come from those 4 wins. Mm-hmm. And when you look at what happened, there were some things that went bad for a couple people, and he was able to pull those out.
Well, all right. So, I mean, to a certain extent, agree with you. I still say, does he drive hard? Maybe. I know a lot of people have hit me up on Twitter like, yo, Bernard, this dude drives his car hard. So I get it, right? Like, he's a racer, he's a competitor. He wants to win, as they all do. I look at this and we talk about this as far as the shift in momentum. I'm watching, as you already said, Alex Bowman. He's been driving well. He's been consistently up there.
Exactly. Yeah, he's been super consistent.
Right. He's been consistent. I'm looking at Martin Truex Jr. He's been consistent. Some things as far as his car, he's been having some difficulties in the last couple races, but the dude's been riding. I think he's a freaking phenomenal driver as well. It's something about the vets, right? Denny Hamlin's been doing well. I think Kevin Harvick is starting to kind of come around a little bit. And I listen to a lot of what Dale is saying, a lot of what the analysts are saying. I listen to these guys talking, and I listen to, the crew chiefs and what the drivers are telling the crew chiefs and things of that nature as far as what's going on with the cars throughout the races. I do agree with you. And I'm going off of what so many people have said to me, have told me at races throughout the year, talking about Kyle Busch. Now, man, Kyle Busch is an animal. I think we all can agree that Kyle Busch is probably the best driver on the track each week. I do believe that, given the track, road course and things of that nature, that's when the Chase Elliott's, he comes in. I think Chase Elliott has 2 road course wins this year. So I look at that. I'm looking at where we are at, what track we're at, what we're doing. I look at it. Kyle Busch, I think, is the guy that's heating up out of all this as far as the shift of momentum. If Ross doesn't block him off, I think he passes his brother. I really do. I think he passes his brother and wins the race.
I think that block combined with the restart, it's, in my opinion, definitely what got Kurt that win. Correct. Because even after the block, Kyle was still right there.
Right.
Kurt didn't run away with the race.
So with that, like, teamwork and Kurt was smart as far as his driving. They did some things well in the race, but I look at it and I'm like, Kyle Busch is an animal, and I'm trying to figure out. I know a lot of people have talked about this, and guys, hit us up, talk to us at CrushBoy31. Hit me, talk to me, let me know what you think. Hit us up on our on YouTube, comment in the section. But I try to figure out, like, I was at the Ally 400 when they announced Kyle Busch's name. So many people booed him, and like, a lot of people saying, like, he takes on a glorified villain role. Like, this guy, everybody say he's a douche, he's a dickhead, whatever it may be. Like, I just look at it, I'm looking like, dude wants to win. Like, if his car's bad, like, he's calling out his car. If his team was bad, he's calling out his team. If he drove piss poor, he calling out himself, and he's annoyed with it. Like, and I think so many people take that and they're just like, oh, well, we don't like the way he responded in the interviews. And I'm like, okay, he's just been 100% real. But I like this shift. I do think Kyle Larson potentially can find his way. I think Chase Elliott is going to be there. He's going to be scrapping. Kevin Harvick's going to be scrapping. Denny Hamlin's going to be scrapping. Alex Bowman is freaking coming along, and he's going to be there scrapping, fighting. I like what's going on. Martin Truex Jr., this is going to be exciting for me as we get to the postseason. We still got some races left, but this is fun. This is a lot of fun. Kurt Busch, I think, finally, I think he's in with that win.
That's what they were saying at the end of the race.
Yeah, so I look at that and I'm like, okay, this is about to be exciting. This is going to be exciting as the shift is happening. I hope Kyle Larson finds it. I know his fans. Jen, don't hurt me. I'm sorry. I know he's your driver. I know a lot of people love this cat, Kyle Larson, but hey, we got to see him bounce back. We do. We got to see him bounce back. Now, as we transition to football, guys, we're going to talk all kind of sports. We're going to talk all kind of stuff. We're going to be talking volleyball, the Olympics, everything else. Volleyball is Alex's sport. He loves it. We're going to be talking all kind of things. We're going to transition to football. And I want to these things are going to be touchy. We're going to talk about things that's going to be touchy. We're going to talk about things, but we want to make sure we are 100% transparent. We want to make sure we are transparent in how we discuss it. And so these last two that we go in on, we want to go in on them. We want to be transparent. We want to be honest. And like I said, we want to get your feedback. But so, Alex, as we move to the NFL, will Deshaun Watson be under center for the Houston Texans September 19th?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you was about to switch.
No, I'm gonna stick with it for now.
Okay. So why do you think he's under center for the Houston Texans September 19th?
I mean, for me, the only hurdle right now, technically, is the commissioner's exempt list. I think if he's allowed to be with the team, if he's allowed to practice and be there, he will be under center. Just because, like, I've heard that, you know, the investigation and everything, like, is really not going to start until next summer. And I mean, that's just what I've heard, that it's getting pushed back a little bit. So I think if he's let off the exempt list, then they will start him, because I think that if they don't start him, then they're completely throwing the season away. And I mean, that's not to say that they could not start him just because it looks bad for his future in the NFL, because it does. But I still think that you can't just outright throw a whole season away, especially with a guy who is at least that talented at quarterback. Just on the field, he's that good.
Okay. All right. So here's where I am with this. And so for so many people, guys, these allegations, we don't want, I mean, there are 24 women.
Something like that.
Yes. So you got 24 women alleged allegations of sexual assault. By no means are we condoning anything that has happened. I look at this situation and I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he's not under center for the Houston Texans at the start of the season. I say no because, as bad as it sounds for me to say this, and I don't know any other way to say it, so I'm going to try to, I'm just going to put it out there. I believe if it was one or two women, I think we possibly could say yes, he'll be under center. Some people may not give them women the benefit of the doubt, right? They may not hear them. I look at this situation and I say there are 23 to 24 women who filed suit. 23 women, I think, that filed suits. We can't look past that. We have got to hear it, because 23 to 24 women tells us something. It tells us there's something there, and they're not all from the same place. And these women are saying that Deshaun Watson hired them to perform massage therapy on him, and he touched them inappropriately. I think he maybe had sexual relations with a couple of them. Can't remember, but there are 23 lives, 23 voices, and I got an opportunity to listen to and watch one of the women kind of describe and go into detail. And I think, Alex, we talked about this before, with one of my former teammates, Ray Rice. When you see things on TV, you see what took place because the camera caught it. It kind of changes your perspective, right? It changes your outlook on, or the way you see that, the way you view that person or that situation. We watched what Ray Rice did. We watched what other players have done to women that have been recorded, right? I watched one of the women describe and just cry her eyes out about what he did to her in her home. And it's just one of those things where I just don't see him getting past this. And I want to say it's not true. But I look at this and I know from dealing with former players in the past, I still have a old teammate that's playing right now that literally deals with this. He deals with this same thing. Like, this is a problem. I truly believe that this is a problem for Deshaun. I think Deshaun has been used to things happening in that those one-on-one sessions that he's gotten away with, and I truly believe he's tried to use the same thing with every woman, and not every woman is having it. Or if hiring massage therapists. I played 19 years in the National Football League. I played football for a long time. If I go to different cities, I don't have multiple massage therapists. I'm not getting massage therapists off of Instagram, right? It's just not happening. Yes, you become friends and y'all become friends on IG or whatever? Cool. Yeah, I have a couple massage therapists where we follow each other on Twitter or Instagram or on Facebook, but I'm not searching for a massage therapist that's also a model, that's also, an entrepreneur, that's also, doing all these different things, because that right there, and I don't want to say it to be whatever. I don't want to downplay anything, but, that right there tells me something. And, once again, I've dealt with teammates who've had problems with this. And it just takes me back to that. Like, this is seriously a problem. And I just don't see the Houston Texans allow him back in. I think the backlash would be crazy. I don't see the NFL allow him back in. Something crazy has to happen for all of this stuff to go to rest, and I don't see it. I just really don't. I don't see, him being able to line up under center at the quarterback position, a position that's every position is important, right? But I think we all look at the quarterback position and say, okay, that guy has to be really different. I mean, obviously, we know the pay is different. Every quarterback in the National Football League, if you can complete a hitch route, if you can throw a fade ball, I mean, you're going to get $100 million. I mean, this guy is a leader. He has been a leader. He has been the X factor for the Houston Texans. And I just think it's a bad look. It's bad that it happened. It's even worse if they let him back on the football field, because we can't turn our face to this and say, okay, because he's the star player on the Houston Texans at the quarterback position, we got to let him play. I just don't. I think we're in a different time. I think people are not going to let that. They're not going to sit. That's not going to sit well with a lot of people. I think they're going to be, like I said, backlash everywhere. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. I mean, I think how you mentioned how it's different with Ray Rice, how people can see it. It's you never really know how that's going to turn out. You don't know if people are going to really be on him. If he does get to play. And like from what I've seen on social media, yeah, there's definitely been backlash and stuff, but like nothing how it was when Ray Rice was on video. Right. Like it's just not the same for a lot of people. So I mean that's why I think there might be a small chance. And we both know NFL owners, they're there to make money.
Right.
Tyrod Taylor's not going to make whoever owns the Houston Texans money. He's not. So I think and especially if I'm a Cowboys fan, and you look at the history of Jerry Jones, he's pretty much going to do anything he can to make money. And I mean, like Dallas has a long history of signing guys who have had problems with the law. It's just happened, and they get to play and they make Jerry Jones money. So I think that's why there's still a possibility for Deshaun to be able to play.
Well, I hear you. I hear you with that, and I agree 100% with you. NFL owners, they want to make money. They don't care how they make it. But I think in the times that we're in, I truly believe, once again, if it was one or two women, I think most people will kind of turn. And once I don't want to downplay, it's the pattern here. I know of teammates that have dealt with this struggle. This is a struggle. This is a habit. This has been something where they've been able to get away with. Players, people, when you get away with things, athletes, it doesn't matter. When you get away with things and you push it the next time, and then you keep pushing and you keep going, and it becomes your life. It becomes a part of you. And I mean, I look at that with Darren Sharper. You know, he got away with a lot of stuff. Nobody would have ever thought Darren Sharper would be around raping women and drugging women, doing all this stuff. But this is something that was done in the dark. And when it was just done so many times, it caught up to him. And I look at this situation the same way. He did it so many times with multiple women. And he may have had consensual sex, or he may have had whatever it was with women at different sessions with his massage therapist. But I think some women got fed up with it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I played in the game. I played this game. I was taking more hits, delivering more hits than he was maybe receiving potentially, right? I've had one massage therapist. I was getting 2 to 3 massages a week. And, you know, to have multiple massage therapists is crazy to me. He's been in Houston his entire career, right?
Yeah.
So to have,
he hasn't moved.
Right. 23 to 24 women working on him, in 4 to 5 years? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of massages from different women. I mean, of course, you got to massage your quarterback differently. You can't. A massage therapist can't attack me the same way they would attack a quarterback. They can't attack me the same way they would attack a wide receiver, right? We take different hits. So you do have some women or some men that are specialized with this, but to have 23 to 24 of them, most of them from Instagram, that's a pattern. That's just okay. I'm gonna have you rub on me, and then let's see what can happen later on. I believe something happened. I believe some of these allegations. I really do. I don't believe this is just a money play here. I don't think his lawyer did a good job with a lot of the emails that were going out and trying to protect Deshaun. I think he stuck his foot in his mouth. I think he, I really do. So I go back to this, and I believe Deshaun should have a second chance. I've said that before. I've talked about Kyle Larson with this. I believe Ray Rice should have had a second chance, but we all know he didn't even get that. We looked at other players, as you talked about. Jerry Jones have given players second and third chances. I believe we should be given another chance. I do. I really do. But I look at certain situations and I say, we can't look past this, because I want to ask, can his image recover? But then at the same time, I'm looking like, can his image recover? That's us being. I want to still ask the question, but at the same time, it's almost like we're neglecting the 23 to 24 women, and potentially it may be more that just haven't come out. But will they recover from this? Right? Like, we gotta be honest. Like, I believe he should get a second chance, but I say this all the time to so many guys that are trained, NFL DBs, NFL players, college guys, high school players. It's a privilege to play this game. It's a privilege. And when you go and you use that against others, or you just don't care and you just reckless with the way that you walk around, shame on you. I believe that. Shame on you. And so I guess I asked the question to you, can his image recover from these allegations? And at the same time, talking out of both ends of my mouth, we need to hope that these women can recover, because they're scarred. I know about that. I was, touched as a young child. That scarred me. I was touched by a woman as a young child. I was doing things that I should have been doing. That scarred me. And when you abuse that, and when you defile a lady or man, you take something from them. And so I want to make sure we are looking at the women, but I guess, we look at this situation and say, can his image recover?
I mean, it's 50-50. I mean, if somehow there are 23 women that all lied, then yes, that's not likely that
Right.
there's 23 women that all lied. So, I mean, I think it'll be more of partially, just because, like, even with you, like, you're not like a football, like, you're not a football fan. You're not somebody that, like, oh, I'm gonna go watch my favorite team on Sunday. Like, you still give people second chances. Like you said, you still believe Ray Rice should have had a second chance.
Right.
So I mean, there's definitely people that are like that, and so I think his image will partially recover because there are people that are forgiving that are willing to give him a second chance. Granted that he gets some help and fixes things. But I mean, either way, a year from now, it's definitely going to look a lot worse. Whether there's 23 women that managed to pull off a lie, that's not likely at all. And then, I mean, even if that happened, his image still wouldn't look good because, I mean, how do you get caught in that situation? Like, how did you get to the point where there's 23 people that, made it believable enough that you could do that? Like,
Right.
there's still something wrong there. So either way, yes, it'll recover. It's just how much will it recover?
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. And so, I mean, moving on. I mean, and once again, this is a crazy thing, but these things need to be talked about. And obviously, I've sat in those locker rooms. I've sat in those meeting rooms. I've dealt with players. I've played this game. I know kind of the way that they're going to attack, not attack, or whatever it may be. But situation, and we laugh and talk about, yo, all we got to do is wait. Something crazy is going to happen, right? We're going to have topics. We're going to have things to talk about. That's how ESPN, they're covering sports, but they're also covering the stupidity behind a lot of athletes. Now, Richard Sherman, what in the hell happened? What happened?
Yeah, so I mean, it is crazy how we were literally just talking about we have nothing to talk about, and the very next day, this comes out. But I mean, it was pretty bad. I think initially it was made out to be something else that seemed really bad because people were just saying domestic violence, and then it's like, well, his career's over. He beat up his kid or his wife, which is not what happened. And I still don't understand, like, the burglary, domestic violence. And we both watched that video where they tried to describe it with Adam Schefter on the phone. Like, he was maybe breaking in somewhere, but I also heard, like, he was just locked. They locked him out of his own house so that he couldn't get back in because he was trying to fight his uncle. But either way, I guess he was drunk. He was saying that, like, he was gonna kill himself when his wife was, like, on the phone with the dispatcher, who I would like to say that dispatcher was terrible. She didn't help the situation at all.
Right.
Like, obviously his wife was very worried about him, and not necessarily, like, for herself, but for him, because, like, he had all kinds of suicidal comments saying if she calls the police, he was gonna fight with the police to try to get them to shoot him. Like, that's pretty bad.
Right.
And the dispatcher definitely did not help at all. And it's a completely different situation from, like, the Deshaun Watson. Really, this is, like, you don't see something like this that often. Like, usually you see something like Deshaun Watson, or you see somebody have a DUI, which I think he might have actually technically driven. I think there was the part, but I mean, to me, it's still a little bit different.
Right.
And I think, and I don't know what caused it. They don't have anything. He hasn't been released. They said he can't be released until he's before a judge.
Right.
So, we won't really know what's going on with that. But then, like, putting it back into the football aspect, I think, if he can get some help, if he's okay, he'll probably have to serve a little bit of time. I think he'll still be put on a roster. Maybe after the season starts. I don't think with how late into the summer and close to training camp that this happened, I don't think he'll get on a roster for training camp. But I mean, he's still the type of guy where he didn't go beat up his wife. So I think he'll be on a roster to help out a team, whether he gets to play a lot or whether he's, more there for being the old guy that knows a lot about the game to help out the team.
I look at this situation and I've been where Richard Sherman is, right? I believe. Now I look at all this, and I think we all know. I truly believe we all know, and I could be wrong, but suicidal thoughts or having thoughts like that, depression and everything else, if that's happening, if we're depressed, if that's happening, that's happening, right? With I think the liquor brings it out, correct? I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought the liquor just brought it out. I think Richard is in a world right now that he's never been in. He's a fish out of water. And with so many athletes, this happens. I ruptured my Achilles against the Cleveland Browns in 2014. Football, I made a promise to myself when I started playing the game of football and when I knew I was going to the National Football League. I always said, I play the game of football. The game of football does not define me, right? I play this game, but this game isn't all that it's not all that there is, right? Not every player sees it that way. And I think a lot of people were shaken up and kind of stunned because you look at Richard Sherman, he's a smart, brilliant dude. And everybody's like, whoa, like, how is this happening? For so many players, I just got to be honest, right? I got to be honest. And I'm going to be open. So what I'm about to say may offend, but please understand my heart. Growing up and playing football, living life, I had a coach and then I had Herm Edwards kind of come back and say this again. But he would always tell me, Bernard, keep your head on straight. There are two things in life that a man cannot defeat. This thing is taking down kings. Father Time has taken down a lot of kings, men and women. Father Time is taking down kings. And that thing between a woman's legs will take down kings. Now, obviously, other guys have dealt with the second part that I talked about. But the first part, Father Time, we can't play this game forever. We say, and our coaches, when I was drafted in 2006, when I was playing college football for 3 years, playing high school football, I would always hear you got a short window. And I tell my middle school players that right now, you got a short window to play this game. You don't got a big window. You can't play this game forever. This game is too physical. It's too violent to play whatever. Your body will not allow you. When I got hurt in 2014, I came back. I bounced back after I ruptured my Achilles. I was running after 6.5, 7 months. I wanted to come back and play. And it was just like, I found myself, I'm like, whoa, my body's not working. I was 31 years old. And I'm like, man, and sitting here at 36, like I was going back to play, was talking to teams and everything else, and some of it, the body was getting older as far as the consistency, as far as keeping up with my workouts and the pace of my workouts and the intensity of my workouts. I had to cut back because I was like, whoa, I can't do what I was doing at 25, right? I truly believe at 33, Richard Sherman, 33, there have been times where he's trying to figure his way and get with his agent or him trying to talk to teams and to see what's happening and nobody's responding. Everybody's getting these young fellas. Father Time is undefeated. It is. It's undefeated. And so for a lot of players that leave the game, they don't know how to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with a coach not calling back, a GM not calling back. They don't know how to deal with not being that top guy. There are a lot of guys out there right now, DBs, corners, and safeties, that are not being called back. Some of them maybe 28, 29. Richard, 33. Yes, he's played at a high level. Has his play dropped off? Yes, it's dropped off drastically. Can he still help a DB room? Yes. Can he play 17 games? I don't think so. I watch football. I watch the play. I watch it. And so I think he's at a point where he doesn't know how to deal with no. He doesn't know how to deal with. I had to cope with that. When I was coming back to play, I was talking to 3 or 4 teams, but it was like so many other teams wasn't responding, or if they did respond, man, you had a great career, but we're not gonna go that way. We want to say with these young. Some guys don't know how to deal with that. I was able to wash my hands with it and say, you know what? Okay, cool. And I had to ask myself, could I play 17 games? I probably couldn't. And this is the first time I guess the second or third time outside of telling my wife, I got to be honest, I probably couldn't play 17 games. I play a physical game. I probably was going to be, I done been fined for almost $600,000. I wouldn't make it in this league. And that's what's off of my style of play. So my style of play would get me fined in today's NFL, and then my style of play wouldn't allow me to play 17 games. So it's just like,
I don't even think your body would have been the problem. They would have just kicked you out.
Right. So I just honestly believe he's at a point where no, we want to wait. We're going to wait it out. This has never had to happen to him. Did he fight his way when he was a young man to make a roster, being a draft pick that he thought he should have went higher than what he did? But he was still young and able to fight. It's harder now. And so I look at that and I'm like, man, this dude is dealing with a lot. But this is what a lot of NFL teams, the NFL period, they don't do a good job of helping the player transition from football. A lot of players still need a locker room. A lot of players still need to be able to put on equipment. A lot of players still need that affirmation. They still need to hear the crowd. They still need to go out on the field. So they doing any and everything to do it. And Father Time won't allow you, or your skill set. For the younger guys, some guys just don't have the skill set to play. They may get away with playing special teams for a few years, but other than that, they can't go and be. He's been a star in this league. He's been an outspoken star in this league. I think we all agree on that. And I think he's at a point in his life where it's like, yo, now he's got to be at home more. A lot of coaches don't like their wives in college and pro. That's just what it is. Why you think they're there all day? Hey, come on, man. I'm being honest with you. I'm going to be that dude that's going to be honest with you. Like, it's crazy inside that building. It is nuts. And I think this is where he is. When you are a starter for a football team, when you have been just all the accolades, Super Bowls, and everybody acknowledges you, they understand who you are, man, no. When you hear no, and even if we go back and talk about the Deshaun Watson, when you hear no, that's what you said. What? That's a different language to a lot of us. I'm gonna tell you a story. I remember, Alex, you might be too young, but my second year in the league, I went to Acapulco, Mexico. I was supposed to be a senior in high school or a senior in college. I left as a true junior. I'm gonna tell you the power of the badge. When I say the shield, the power of the shield, the NFL. This is what a lot of guys don't know how to deal with when you leave. So I was in Acapulco, Mexico. 3 of my other teammates that were in college, we were all teammates. We came into college together. They redshirted, I didn't. So they were on spring break. We all went to Acapulco. So we're in Acapulco. We go to I rented a condo a condo in this like gated community in Acapulco. We're on like the 15th, 16th floor, whatever it may have been. So we went to a club that night. Now I'm not a club dude. I just told y'all on Twitter I don't drink. I drink twice a year, and I may have had I don't even think I drank. I might have had a Tito's and cranberry then. The lady called my doggone drink a girly drink, but nevertheless, we'll talk about that later. So I might have had a Tito's and cranberry. Nevertheless, we end up leaving the club. We don't stay long. We end up leaving, but it's a long line. I told you it's at the top of the hill. So we get in the taxi. So all the cars are going down. So we're all in this line. We're in a taxi. I'm in the front seat. The other three are in the back seat. Now, these three dudes, Stanford and them, they all can attest to this story. So we sitting here, and I remember our taxi driver blows the horn. So he blew the horn, but it was three cars in front of us where the Jeep, it was a red Jeep in front of us, had maybe 6 dudes in the Jeep. The car in front of them had maybe 5 to 6 dudes. The car in front of them had about 5 to 6 dudes. Do the math. So our taxi driver blows the horn. So he blows the horn, and the dudes turn around and get mad. So they jump out of the Jeep and then the 2 cars in front of them, and they start running towards our car. So I turn and I say, get out. So I'm like, yo, because we couldn't roll the windows up. So I'm like, we got to fight. So I don't start fights, but I'll finish it. I get out the car. They get out the car, out the back of the car. We throwing down. What I'm fighting, we fighting 15, 16, 17 dudes. We get to fight them. And it was just one dude I hit, knock him down, fighting other dudes, because I can't, with that many dudes, and there's only 3 or 4 of us, we can't stay on one guy for a long time. You got to hit and move. So I'm hitting and moving, going. But the police end up backing us into the club, and they got the guys in the car. Look, I'm proud to say I did not get hit one time. One other guy, he got hit, but he got hit. The police was backing us up. The other guy took his belt buckle off, had a big thing on the front of the big buckle, whatever them things are called. And he swung it when the police had us backed up and hit one of my old teammates in right across the head and gashed him. Oh my gosh, we were so pissed. But nevertheless, we end up having to go to the hotel, go back to the condo. We go back to the condo, and we get there, and we thinking everything cool. We end up looking out the balcony, and the guys that we had just fought, they're outside of our condo because it was gated with guns, and it's more of them now. So I had to make a call. So this is the power of the shield. This is what's hard for so many people they don't know how to adapt to real life now, right? I made a call to one of our detectives that was at the facility when I was at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I made a call to Lamont, and then Lamont, we called Dirt. We get everybody. They call the U.S. Embassy. The embassy sends 4 black vans, big black vans, tinted windows. They come up, they unload, they come with machine guns and everything. Come get us, tell us, get all of our stuff, pack it. We get out of the condo. They take us to the airport, put us on a plane. This plane out hundreds of seats. It's only 3 or 4 of us on a plane. Fly us back to Kansas City. And nothing came out. Everything was there, right? Nothing came out. That's the power of the shield. That's what's so hard. This is what you have everything in that building right there at your fingertips. It's hard to adjust to real life because when you're done playing, all of that stops. You can't walk through them doors no more. They don't just welcome you in that locker room anymore. They looking at the next batch and saying, okay, we got meetings. We got to get these guys ready, caught up, ready to play and everything else. It ain't coming like that. So you lose all of that. Now, I still say to this day, for guys to be getting in trouble when you got detectives and everybody, we will get speeding tickets, take it to the police officers at the facility, those speeding tickets gone. Can't do that now. You better go pay that speeding ticket. You better go through that course to get that thing off after 6 months, whatever it may be. You don't have that. So it's hard to adjust. And this is where I think Richard Sherman is at. It's hard for him to adjust. He's hearing no's. He's hearing nobody's calling back. I just think that's hard. And it's for a lot of players. You talk about suicide and everything else that have happened with players. It's hard. They're looking like, how do I live? Money ain't a problem. Money ain't a problem for most of these dudes. It's about the life now. How do I be at home every day with my wife or my girlfriend? How do I see my kids every day without having to go to practice? How do wives look at their husband every day? They've been used to, okay, on Sunday, we going to the game. On Saturday, we going to go out to dinner. Sunday, we going to the game. We got family. We got this and that. We got tickets. We taking care of ticket orders. We got all this stuff. If we go to the Super Bowl, we always going somewhere. Now, all of a sudden, when it stops, and I'm not saying this wife was being any kind of way, but I'm saying this lifestyle, especially for the player, it stops. When you're not lacing up, strapping up to go out and play, it's hard. And I do not think the NFL I do not think they do a great job of helping players transition. And this is where I think Richard Sherman is. Because once again, if we're talking suicide, we're talking all this other stuff, it's been there. The liquor just brought it out. It's been there. It's been there. Now, we don't really know the whole story, but I'm just telling you off of experience. Seeing other players, I went through the transition. I went through it. Not everybody see it my way. I would not allow football to define me. Football doesn't define me. That's why I cherish every friendship. I cherish every relationship, any encounter I have with people. I cherish that. I literally cherish it. I want to network. I want to see other things. Football ain't all it is. Football was my talent. Touching other lives and inspiring other people, that's my gift. Not everybody see it that way. They think football is their talent and their gift, and it's not. We got to see that. We've got to understand it. And this is exactly why we've got to get these players help. That's my thoughts, man. Sorry I went so long, Alex. What do you think about all of that?
No, that was you never told me that story. I was probably only 6, 7 when that happened. So, I didn't know about that one. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. Make sure you stay with us next time for Pollard to Pollard podcast. Take it easy. Peace.